Hey guys, this is Jeff here. Welcome back to the Runnergy channel. And I am on location here on the top of Reseda here in Tarzana, California. And I kind of just show you where I am. There we go. And right down there, if you can see, there's a yellow gate. That is where I started. And I thought, I've been wanting to do the video on questions that people ask at running shoe stores for a while, so I figured what a better place than here at the top of Reseda on the Dirt Mulholland Trail to do this video. So here we go. Hey guys, I just want to say, if you're liking this video, do us a big huge favor and try to watch through the whole thing. There may be some information that you may not have expected, plus it really helps out the channel. And thanks for watching. Okay, so as mentioned, I'm on Mulholland here. I'm going to show you here the this yellow gate here. That will take you to over there, which is very popular here, called the Hub. And so I thought this was a good spot to answer the first question. The first question being, what's the difference between insoles that come in the shoe, the ones that you can buy on the counter, like in the store, or custom orthotics? And there's a difference between the three. What comes in the shoe is just a liner that kind of covers the lining inside the shoe, and it's removable so that you can put in a better quality insole if you wish to. So stepping up from the insole that comes in the shoe is a regular over-the-counter insole like a Superfeet or a Curex or a Spentgo. Those insoles are really about fit. So there's no prescription to them. They're not corrective. They are just, they're going to hopefully shape to your arch. Think of them as arch fit instead of arch support. They're not corrective. So they will give you some torsional support, like torque twisting, but they're not corrective. They're not correcting some kind of chronic injury that you might be experiencing. They are certainly, as long as they fit your arch correctly, again, arch fit, they are most likely better than what comes in the shoe. They are kind of more of a want than a need. Okay, so moving up from the liner that's in the shoe to that is more of a want. You want something that kind of fits to your arch, more custom, and will mold to your foot. If it doesn't do that, then just don't buy them, because they're going to range from like $30 to $130 or so. Certainly don't waste your money on that. They're not bad to have. I use them in certain shoes that I feel like the arch could fit me a little bit better than what's in the shoe. Now we're going to move on to the custom insoles. Custom insoles are usually there with a corrective component to them for someone who's experiencing kind of a chronic injury. So they'll have some kind of medical prescription kind of corrective component to them, as opposed to those like Superfeet and over-the-shelf kind of insoles that you can get at a store. All right, I hope that helps answer that question. See you on the next spot. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it from here, but that is all burnt brush. And I just realized this is the first time I've been out here on this trail since the Los Angeles fires. A lot of this got burned up here. So the next question I get at running shoe stores is, what is the best shoe? I've gotten this question for as long as I've been doing this. It's unbelievable. If there was a best shoe, then the store would only carry one shoe because it's the best shoe. Who doesn't want the best shoe? So it's kind of a, I don't want to say nothing question, but it's just kind of a nothing question. It's like, well, of course there's no best shoe. Everybody knows that, but I don't know. They seem to want to ask that question. The other question that I get that's kind of related to that is, what is the best shoe for plantar fasciitis? And that one comes up from pretty much anyone who has plantar fasciitis. That is got a little bit more of a specific answer. Howdy. And that is, plantar fasciitis tends to respond well with shoes that have a little bit of a higher heel lift. So a lot of shoes now have like 5mm heel lift or 8. Plantar fasciitis tends to respond better with a higher heel lift. So if you can kind of stay with at least 8mm or higher with plantar fasciitis, that tends to be good. Insoles definitely can help out with that as well. They can add a little bit of heel lift, like Superfeet tend to do that. Other things that the plantar fasciitis tends to respond well is shoes that don't twist, so more stable, more supportive, like torsionally stiffer shoes. A good example has always been like the Brooks Adrenaline. It's torsionally very stiff, tends to have a very high heel lift, 10 to 12 millimeters even. That tends to be a good choice. So shoes like that, shoes that have a little more room, let your toes spread out when you have plantar fasciitis. So something that has a little bit of room in the toe box. Although people who tend to have plantar fasciitis kind of don't want any of that. They want a tight fitting shoe. They tend to pull the laces tight. All the things that make plantar fasciitis worse. So I hope that answers your questions of what are the best shoes and what are the best shoes for plantar fasciitis. Those are questions I constantly get on a regular basis. Hey guys, it's Jeff here back and for another question answered here. And I am actually facing right here where I mentioned the hub. Now if you can see way over there, I'll try to zoom it in if I can. But that is called the hub here. Everyone out here who's done trails knows about the hub. It takes about 2.5 miles to get there, 2.5 miles back to Reseda. So let's get on to the next question. And that is, and I've gotten this one forever, why are running shoes and walking shoes so expensive? And that is a very good question. And the only answer I can say is because people will pay it. That's really the only reason. Honestly, back in the 1980s, New Balance did a shoe, I believe, called the 1600, and it was, I believe, around $150 back in 1980 something. And then in the 90s, Asics came out with the Kayanu, the gel Kayanu, and the gel Nimbus. They were in that 115 to 120 mark, and everybody said, oh God, no one's going to pay that much money for running shoes. That's ridiculous. Well, guess what? Here we are. The markup for them is just got to be, for the shoe companies, it's just got to be really, really good. And it needs to be to a certain extent because of the ridiculous amount of returns that they have to deal with. I mean, think about it. How many times people have bought a shoe and tried it for 5 minutes and then returned it, and they're not resellable. So they got to recoup some of that cost. They got to recoup some of the new technology that's put into the shoes. There is multiple reasons why they're so expensive, but yeah, it's really, honestly, it's because people are willing to pay it. But if the shoe works for you, then you use it. To me, it's worth it. So that is the best answer I can give you on that, is why they're so expensive. So okay, here we are. This is Jeff here back with the last question I am answering here on this video, and I figured this is a good spot to do this. So this one over here is Bent Arrow, and that goes back over to Mulholland, and that's been closed off because of the rain for a while. And then right here where these guys are kind of walking across, if you can see them, that goes to Garampido, which is kind of a tricky trail, but really fun. The next question I've been getting, I would say at least definitely the last year, is what is the difference between On brand shoes and Hoka brand shoes? And I would say really between, aside from being very trendy, both of them are very popular and trendy, they're kind of different feeling. I mean, On is on typically a narrower platform. There's a lot more like polyurethane or rubber injected into their midsole because they have all those holes in them to kind of make them look cool and maybe make them bouncy feeling. So they're definitely firmer than I think people think they're going to be compared to Hoka. Hoka's a much more plushy, cushy, pillowy, like memory foamish kind of cushioning feel. They got a wider platform. There's definitely more air blown into their shoes compared to On. On has to make them kind of a little bit firmer so they don't just bottom out because of those holes through them. So they're kind of different feeling shoes. On has more of a kind of a pogo stick bouncy feel to them, to me, than Hoka. Hoka tend to has more of that rocker going on in the front. They have more shoes that have a lower heel drop than On. So On has shoes that go like all the way up to like 10 or 11 millimeter heel drop, and Hoka I think caps like at 8. So they're kind of different feeling. You certainly can kind of alternate back and forth between the two, but they're just very different feeling shoes. I think they have different directions. On is kind of more like Nike in a sense, where it's very aesthetically driven with those clouds on the side. So a lot of people buy them as like leisure shoes just to wear around. Style wise, I mean, Hoka, people do buy Hoka for just wearing around, but it's more because of comfort as opposed to style, while On is very strong with style. Yeah, just very different brands. I hope that kind of clarifies the difference between the two. Certainly two brands you can kind of alternate back and forth with if you just want two very different feeling shoes, which is always a good way to go. All right, guys, I am back where I started here at the beginning of the video. I hope I answered these questions for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.